Right, well, hello, thank you, masses of people who have made it to this session. We appreciate each and every one of you. I'm Amber, I'm from FOLDE Dorset. You may have seen me pop up at one of these things before. I'm also wearing the official Booksellers Sustainability Business Group obligatory bright red uniform with Debbie there, who is joining us. I'm delighted to be here with Alex from Black Skies Blue, and they are a consultancy that we have been working with the BA to put some sustainability ideas and actions into an action plan. We're going to talk a little bit about that as well. And we also have Eleanor from the Bookseller, who is going to be writing some notes about this session as well. So thank you all for joining us. So today what we want to do is to talk just a little bit, but to get around the tables, and delightfully we might nudge you onto 3 tables because it just works neatly that way, to talk about some of the things around what we're calling PPP, People, Planet and Prosperity. So we want to kind of get a sense of what you might be doing, what might be useful for you to communicate, some of the things you are communicating and how you might be able to do that going forward. Kind of take us through this, I'm going to hand over to Alex, who's going to talk a little bit about some of the work that you've been doing with the Booksellers Association and with the Sustainable Bookselling Group.
Great, thank you Amber, and hi everybody, thanks for coming along to this session. We've got lots to get through, as Amber said. It's a little bit about us talking, a little bit about you talking as well, because the process that we've been through, Black Skies Blue, we're a sustainability consultancy based up in Edinburgh. So we've been working since the late spring with the Booksellers Association to develop an action plan around sustainability for the Booksellers Association and I guess the wider sector. So we've done lots of work with the Sustainable Booksellers Group, with the BA itself. We've looked at previous surveys that you as booksellers have done. So last Christmas's Christmas Trading Survey, and the name of the other surveys?
The Supply Chain Survey.
Survey, which there has been feedback around sustainability on. We've done detailed consultation with the Sustainable Booksellers Group. We've looked at sustainability, and basically that's the foundations of the plan, but you can't have a plan for sustainability unless you know what you mean by sustainability. So lots of that. So what is sustainability? Is it just turning your lights off? Is it just recycling? Is it just reducing waste from your supply chain? It's more than that. And so what we've done over the last few months is moved away, or worked with this team to move away from an exclusively environmental focus, where much of the sustainability comms you might have heard over the last few years have probably focused on around your sector and from the BA. And we've lent in to what the UN have said with their Sustainable Development Goals. Now, they've been around for about 10 years. They're basically, oh, yep, please come on in. Thank you. Yeah, so that's all. And so basically, there's 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and they're basically 7 interlinked goals that the UN say that we should work to create a better future. Now, that ranges from everything from good education to sustainable communities to life below water to no poverty. There's lots of interlinked goals. Some of them are directly relevant to booksellers, some of them aren't. Some of them are sort of semi-related to booksellers and the bookselling industry. And we've got water because we care about people, as you will see, and we think it's unfair to give you water glasses without water. So thank you very much, hotel team. So what the Sustainable Booksellers Group have come up with in partnership with us is a definition of sustainability for booksellers in the bookselling industry, which is people, planet, and prosperity. Now, obviously, the environmental stuff would sit in planet, but what do we mean by people and prosperity? So the environmental sustainability stuff I'm talking about. So briefly, I'm going to introduce these, and I'm going to hand over to Amber, who is a bookseller, so we'll know much more about what these mean in practice. But basically, what do we mean by people, planet, prosperity? So by people, we want the kind of aim and the goals of sustainability for bookselling to think about operating bookselling businesses that provide supportive, fair and inclusive spaces for staff, customers and communities. So that's very much recognising the work that you do as kind of pillar organisations in your community. It's not just about looking after your staff. Those of you that were in the session just now was very much about staff. It's about your communities and your customers. So focusing on that, because if you haven't got a sustainable community, you haven't got a business. Planet, all that stuff around environmental sustainability that many of you might have been coming here about. So respecting nature, reducing waste, saving energy, reducing carbon emissions, that kind of stuff. So that's the planet. And the third pillar is prosperity. can't do all these kind of things if you haven't got a sustainable, thriving business. So ensuring book selling is a viable and positive force in your economy or in your local economy. So what might that look like? I'll hand over to Amber.
Well, we do actually also have some prompts, which I think
I will go and hand out as you
which
speak.
are going to go onto the tables,
Yep.
because along with my colleagues in the Sustainable Book Selling Group, we've been putting together some of the examples of what that might mean to really bring it to life for booksellers. So for us on the people aspect, obviously there's been a lot of concern around well-being and stress for booksellers, so it might be around how to deal with that. It could be around learning and skills development, for example. But it might also be around providing opportunities for those who are from different backgrounds or internships, and providing an insight into the book-selling world. When it comes to things like the planet, obviously returns is a big one, and that's usually a hot topic of conversation. Might also consider things like packaging. It might be energy choice. It might also, on the environmental side, and this ties in a little bit to the prosperity piece, be thinking about sourcing of non-book items. Are you shipping in lots of items from China? Probably. There's a lot of lovely things which are made by lots of retailers that come in from China. Actually, is that something you could source maybe from Europe if you can't source it from within, your own country or your own neighbourhood? And that ties in with the prosperity aspect. So absolutely, for the majority of booksellers, and it always seems to be a tricky time for booksellers, you have to remain financially sustainable to be able to open and to operate and to pay the bills and to pay your team, the living wage, whatever you can, to work. However, if you can make some changes which benefit your financial bottom line, they can often benefit your environmental bottom line and your people. I don't want to say your people bottom line because that sounds wrong, but benefit your people as well. So, for example, if you're sourcing locally and you're working with local makers, they will come into your shop more likely. If you are hiring locally, that money stays in the local economy and people talk positively about your shop. So some of the things that you're doing already as booksellers, and we've had some fantastic examples. We had some great examples at the Sustainable Book Selling half-day forum that we ran earlier this year, in some of the feedback we've had. What we suggest doing, first of all, is looking at what you're doing as a bookseller through the lens of sustainability. So through people, through planet and through prosperity. And that's perhaps one of the calls to action from this session, is to say, okay, well, actually, I'm really tight when it comes to packaging and I don't like to buy, I reuse it. That sits firmly under environmental or under financial because you're not spending money on additional packaging. Or we've got a great trainee programme because we want to retain great booksellers who are happy. That would sit under your people programme. So there's some really strong threads that you can pull together from this.
Yeah. Okay. And I suppose what that practically means in terms of our action plan and moving that forward, we've got two areas of focus that we're centering on to support that kind of action and that kind of activity. The BA are going to look internally around sustainability across those three pillars across the organisation to look at their comms, their action, their reporting and their advocacy. So what are they doing? How are they talking about what they're doing? What we are doing? Sorry. And, how are they advocating for these three pillars of sustainability? So that's an internal focus across the BA, but obviously you are booksellers. So the BA needs to think about what it needs to do in terms of training, resources, promotion to support activity amongst booksellers for these things. So what we want to do today is move away a little bit from talking and get you all talking with each other, okay? So I guess I was quite inspired this morning by what Mary Porter said about, now what did she say? She basically said, does this excite you? Does what you're doing excite you? If it does, share it with the world. That's why you're doing what you're doing. So let's share it with the world. So what we want to do today is to kind of lean into that a little bit, because you're all doing work, as Amber has said, touching on these three pillars. Some very explicitly, I'm sure, will be going out. Amber's bookshop is a B Corp, so that's very much saying I am sustainable, I'm environmentally focused and leaning into that and excited about that. But lots of you will be doing good things around staff practice. Lots of you will be doing good things around, say, working with your local suppliers in the community, working with your local community members, hosting events, etc., etc. All of that is sustainability. And if we can use this opportunity to help you get excited about what you do and share it with the world, then your practice will improve and your impact will be greater. And We will hit the 2030 SDGs for the UN. But anyway, maybe not.
No pressure.
No pressure. So what we want to do is we want you to talk to each other about this kind of stuff, because you're all doing this stuff. So what are you doing? But also, what else do you need? So we've got a few questions. So for 15 minutes, what are the things that you're doing that are contributing to these three pillars, to people, planet, prosperity? What are the things that made it happen? What did you do? And how did you communicate that? And who did you communicate it with? Okay? So what I'm going to ask you to do, I think because the numbers are so short, I reckon we should have one table here and one table here. And if this table could start off thinking about prosperity, and we've got some cheat sheets here for you, because that's what we do, and whatever's on top of there, if this table starts talking about planets, and then you've got post-it notes, so chat, scribble, let's capture some of this stuff down on the post-it notes, share those post-it notes around. So what are you doing around, if you guys start with, what did I say? You start with prosperity. Prosperity. So of course you could. Of course I could. So if you start with prosperity, and if you've got enough post-its, have a few more. So scan that through, have a chat about what you're doing.
So on this table, if you can start thinking about
then we're going to
people
share
and
something
planet.
back in about 10 minutes.
So you might want to take a sheet for people or a sheet for planet, up to you entirely. The post-its are not colour-coded. We talked about it, but it was going to get very difficult. And again, think about what you're doing in your own businesses, in your own bookshops already, that might tie into the people or the planet aspect. So whether it's encouraging your staff to go to conference, working with schools, having young readers groups, and again, with the year of reading coming up, that's going to be an amazing opportunity on the people aspect and also on the environment aspect to educate people too. So have a think about what you might be doing already and some of the highlights that come out of that.
Great, so people and planet.
Yep.
Yep.
So if we're working on prosperity, reading that, listening to what we said, how does that resonate? Is that a surprise? Is that what you were expecting to see when you came in here?
Yeah, there's another couple of examples there. There we go. More post-its. Yep, right,
well,
more
that's
post-its.
great
That's
then, isn't it?
absolutely fine. There we go. I'll throw some. Oops, sorry. All the post-its.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
There we go.
Yeah, I think there's other two, whatever they are.
Pillars? We can call them pillars. We can call them pillars. Yeah.
And it's also quite a nice one. I'm not a huge surprise that the book industry is...
And you can all write multiple ones. It's absolutely fine. So you might want to think about sort of environmental ones. It might be if you've got a green energy tariff, or if you've insulated your building, if you've just gone around with draft sealant. That can be an amazing effective one. One thing we've learned is that an awful lot of bookshops have an awful lot of holes and drafts.
And do you
in them,
shout
so.
about it?
Yeah, no, you could block up a book.
It tends to stop people from getting in or getting out.
Take the cardboard away and that's great. So, but no, we're not shouting about the fact that we're working with all those other places we're working with, and the schools we're working with.
Sometimes that's just because we're booksellers and we don't shout about stuff in the same
Yeah, true enough. But I think it is also that idea of the fact that you're collaborating and working with a school.
So they put on courses,
At no point will come
on carbon literacy,
under a sustainability umbrella.
so on called climate leadership.
I was thinking, we just think it's just a natural thing that we would do. Most bookshops are involved in the local community.
Yep.
And
all funded,
kind of
and they
work with other...
You feel a little bit strange if you started shouting about it, but you were...
I'm conscious that we're having an amazing conversation over here. You guys sound like you're having an amazing conversation over there. And it feels like we're about to move on to the next bit of discussion over here in terms of kind of what support you might need. But can we just have one person from each table just sharing one striking reflection from the discussion? And I know that we can. There's definitely loads of really great stuff over here. But I'm going to start with Debbie's going to give us within 30 seconds just something, just one nugget. It doesn't have to be answering the question, but one nugget that came out for you in terms of those questions.
Joyce, our cup runneth over here. I would say perhaps curation of stock, where we can, don't say control, but we offer ideas to all communities, and let these ideas be found in our shops. We have agency in that respect, don't we? So
Amazing.
Privileged place.
Amazing.
we
Thank
find
you.
ourselves in.
Okay, and you've
Disseminate all of this.
brilliant. Thank you. And you've won the post-it note prize because we failed exclusively, but I have been taking notes. So so I'm going to pick on. Sorry, is Richard, isn't it? Rich, we actually had a kind of sort of meta discussion about what it all means having 3 pillars and things, and I think your reflections might be good. So I'm going to pick on you for.
Not being on task completely.
Well, that's all right.
No, imagine that also the book trade was doing more than they thought they were. The level at which we are, the pillar I was aware of is the planet one. The cardboard man's here. Yay, goers, we've recycled this week again. Great. But those other 2 pillars that I am aware of, because I'm fortunate Mel's on the group as well, so I'm here so she doesn't have to talk me through it all the time. But it's those 2 things that we're already doing. We've lifted the bar so much more high than, so our starting point is here rather than kind of right down the bottom, because there are all of these things. Well, of course we're doing that, because while the rest of the high street, and I said it slightly crudely, is making money, we're doing the thing where we're collaborating, communicating, and being part of that bigger part of the community. And what we don't do is we don't shout. And because, well, why would we? Because we're doing what we're doing. But if we shout, and next door goes, yeah, we're doing that. And so next door can shout, and next door then goes, well, we're doing that. So all of a sudden you've got a town shouting about how sustainable they are, that 10 minutes ago was like, well, where the hell do we start with this? So I think it's that collaboration across the high street that isn't just the collaboration amongst us.
I think that's a really, really good point, because everybody is doing more on sustainability than they think. They're just not thinking about it from a sustainability aspect. You might be thinking about it from team happiness or financial Fridays or whatever it happens to be. But you're not starting from the ground up. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you. Very exciting. I wish we had more time. So, but given that starting point of we're doing stuff, we've got great ideas, we've got a rich table of ideas that we could talk about. Maybe we could talk about it a bit more. Maybe we could take more action. So you as booksellers, what would help you communicate? So we even got the right question at the top. What would help you communicate about what you're doing, about people, planet and prosperity? What would you like included in training? What should the BA be focusing on, maybe at a strategic level, around these issues? So that's what I want you to talk about, what we want you to talk about for the next 5 minutes. So that's, I think it leads on quite nicely from what we just talked about. So what would help you communicate? What would you like training and resources on? Or what could the BA be doing strategically to support you to push this agenda forward? Go, you've got 5 minutes. Chuck it on
I
post-its
think there's
if
a
you want.
second sheet under here.
If we want to, if you've got an idea because of time,
Yeah, you can chat and
and
distill,
someone else
so
is talking,
I-
chuck it on a post-it and then we can have it on here because this will feed directly into the action plan, potentially. Yep. Bring you together with no warning, for which I apologise, but I will stick to time. We will stick to time. More fantastic discussion. So we've got precisely 4 minutes left, so 30 seconds. We'll start with this table. So one idea that you can reflect, what support, what action. Just from this table, 30 seconds, quickly. What would you like to see supporting this agenda?
Well, I think the first 3 pillars going out in the email to demonstrate the baseline thing of the wow moment is one thing that is needed immediately. And Helen talked about real life examples, specific examples that then go into the press, i.e. the trade press, but then actually into the wider scale press as well, and that become a positive news story for whatever.
Just our little weaknesses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. And I love that idea about the wow moment, because the fact that you're calling the three pillars, if we're going to call it the 3 pillars, a wow moment, and getting that communication out there is quite exciting that it's landed with you as
It's nice to have something where you're going, oh look here already, rather than oh no.
Here I go.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Amazing.
where wowing that comes from.
Amazing.
We
Great.
can talk about pillars as long as we don't talk about horizontal pillars, because they are not pillars, are they?
No.
They sound like RSJs to me. Yeah. Okay.
It was in a document, not anything to do with you.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification.
I wasn't telling you all.
These are very upright pillars.
Yes. So quickly from this table, just a quick reflection.
We got into the sort of environmental impact of purchasing and
Okay.
incentives from publishers and how they're not environmentally friendly at all.
Yep.
You know, we're coerced into buying more units so that we have bigger margins, etc., and that's not environmentally friendly. So there is experience on the table of something called blended discounts, which Mel talked about. So the environmental impact of purchasing and how
Amazing.
we deal with whom.
Brilliant, and that has a bit more of a sort of BA lobbying element to it as well. It's great, so you're thinking about that, practical tools, but also that kind of lobbying agenda and something more fundamentally focused on the booksellers from this table. So great. I'm so sorry this conversation hasn't got much time to go. So we have exactly a minute. So we've done the feedback. I'll let you do this, Amber.
So we're not going to get you to write these down because there isn't time, but to kind of take with you in your mind, what's the one thing you might take away today? So we've talked about skills, we've talked about purchasing, we've talked about some of the things you might do. So might you look at the Skills Hub? There's some great sessions on there around the sustainability one, but also around people, environment. Take the Sustainable Booksellers Pledge if you haven't. That does actually have a little checklist of some of the things that you could do. So that's quite a nice start to say, here's where we are. You'll find it on the BA website. Something else. Might you want to be talking to a sustainability mentor? I am here via the BA. But equally, think about what you might share with your customers and with your teams. Go back to your shops and say, we're not starting from the bottom, we've got lots to do. And by all means, get in touch with us. I'm Amber at folddorset.com or with Alex or through Meryl or any of the BA with any examples of what you're doing already that you think might kind of strike you in another wow moment. And let us know, because we'd love to include them in a library that goes out to other members of the BA so that they can actually take benefit from it as well. And thank you very much. Thank you. Right.